I've always said over the years that the marquee games are the toughest ones to win because the lines are always the sharpest. But I've got to tell you guys, I love the Clemson Louisville game because I think the Cardinals are clearly the class of that particular competition. And I'm going to go with Louisville in this near pick 'em situation tonight. And what I particularly like about the Cardinals in this game is, did the Cardinals get caught looking ahead to Florida State? No. Did they have a letdown after the Florida State rout looking ahead to this Clemson game? No. They took care of business against Marshall last week, took care of Marshall easily, rolling over the Thundering Herd in that game as Lamar Jackson had another monstrous game at quarterback. And I look at this particular team and I see a Louisville team that lost a heartbreaker last year to Clemson, a Louisville team in which Lamar Jackson wasn't the starting quarterback through one pass attempt in a reserve role. That is a much better Louisville team coming into this rematch. Yes, I understand it's in Death Valley, but I ask you this, Clemson, are the Tigers as good as they were a year ago? They are not. And listen, I saw the Thursday night game as you did against Georgia Tech. Okay, they dominated Georgia Tech. But who said the Yellow Jackets were any good either? So I'm going to go with Louisville in this particular contest. I was very impressed, as I said, with the way Lamar Jackson played against Marshall last week. Another 117 yards in passing, 7 more touchdowns in that game. The Cardinals offense, 690 total yards, 32 first downs. The defense only allowed 207. Now, are they going to shut down that Clemson attack? Are they going to definitely shut down Deshaun Watson? No, of course not. And is this game going to be hyped to be the showdown of all showdowns between Deshaun Watson and Lamar Jackson? Of course it is. It's been that way all week long. But the fact is, right now, I think Bobby Petrino has his Cardinals playing at a pace that is much better. And think of it this way. You see how dynamic that Florida State offense is, right? And Louisville managed defensively to shut that Florida State offense down. And point for point, well, the Seminoles simply couldn't keep pace. Now, granted, Clemson's defense is better than Florida State's. Florida State may be a little faster and a little bit more athletic defensively, but Clemson is a better defense. And Clemson is playing at home, but I still like Louisville in this particular contest because I think the great equalizer between these two teams, shall we say, is once again Jackson with those 13 passing touchdowns, those 12 rushing touchdowns. And I just think the Cardinals are playing with such uber confidence right now. I got to go with them in this spot. Another complimentary play for you. I like Nebraska in revenge at home, laying the 20 points against Illinois. You remember what happened last year in Champaign when these two met? The Cornhuskers were up 13-0 in the fourth quarter. Total choke job in that game as they lost 14-3. You know, Lovie Smith took this job with the Illini. I never understood the hiring of Lovie Smith. Listen, a class guy, a guy who had a lot of success in the NFL, but you know, he right now looks to be one of these NFL coaches who isn't quite ready and prepared for the college game. Of course, he didn't inherit a lot of talent with the Illini either. This is a team, the Illini, who managed to get blown out by Western Michigan in their last home game. They're coming off a bye. Prior to that, of course, they lost to the Broncos 34-10 at home. The defense allowed 437 yards to Western Michigan. Now, remember, Western Michigan's a Mid-American team, right? And Western Michigan ran for 287 yards on the ground in that game. This is a team that also lost 48-23 to North Carolina. And this is the road opener for the Illini. Now, Nebraska last week went to Northwestern, struggled, did manage to win 24-13. You know, in the box score, statistically, they absolutely dominated the Wildcats in that game. Had an overwhelming edge in total yards, 556-338, but they left a couple of touchdowns on the field as they got into the red zone. A couple of turnovers cost them a few scoring opportunities. But Tommy Armstrong, a much maligned Tommy Armstrong in his first few years in Lincoln, had another strong game for them, a career-high 132 yards rushing against the Wildcats, 246 yards passing. And of course, listen, it was a prototypical letdown situation for the Cornhuskers last week because it was only a week earlier they had pulled off that big upset in Lincoln 35-32 over Oregon. So I think, again, this is a situation where the Cornhuskers are up, they're ready, they're primed for the revenge. They scored 35 at home against Oregon. They had scored 52 and 43 in home rounds against Wyoming and Fresno. I'm not sure Illinois is that much better than Wyoming or Fresno, to be honest with you. So telling you that Nebraska can beat them by 3 touchdowns, yeah, I think so. This is a play that I really considered because I really do like Maryland a lot this year. I like them in this game, but the reason I had to back off on this game is I'm not 100% certain how healthy their quarterback Perry Hills is. Now, Maryland is coming off a bye. Their last game was the 30-24 double overtime victory at Central Florida. That was preceded a week earlier when they went to Florida International. I used them as a free pick that particular day, 41-14. And of course, they opened, God, it seems like weeks ago, right? It was 4 weeks ago, in fact, by blowing out Howard at home. So this is their Big Ten opener. They're taking on a Purdue team. Really, what's made the difference for Maryland this year, 2 things. One, they got a new coach, DJ Durkin, in his first year. But 2, this is a team that turned the ball over 36 times a year ago. 0 turnovers in 3 games so far this season. Now, the Boilermakers, this is a team that can't play defense, couldn't play defense last year, can't play defense this season. They lost at home to Cincinnati 38-20. They did manage to beat Nevada in their last game 24-14. But listen, it was a deceiving final score because they were down 14-3 to the Wolfpack in the second quarter of that game. Terrapins are coming off the bye. They're well rested. They're expecting a big crowd. It's homecoming in College Park today. Again, it's their Big Ten opener. The only question I have is the health of Perry Hills because he had to leave that game against Central Florida a couple of Fridays ago in the overtime session because of a shoulder problem. I think he's going to play. I did a lot of research on this game, and I couldn't come up with anything definitive here. But the one thing that I think that Maryland has going for it here is that Durkin's got a running back by committee going on in this backfield, and it's been a very productive running back by committee situation. And Purdue has been unable to stop the run. 2015, they were the worst team in the Big Ten at stopping the run. First couple of games this season, they were the worst team in the Big Ten at stopping the run until they held Nevada, a team that can't run the ball, at only 68 yards in their last game. So that's their bugaboo problem. The other problem that they have is that they turned the ball over. Purdue, 9 turnovers in their last 2 games. So even though I'm not 100% certain of what the situation is with the Maryland quarterback, I'm still willing to lay the points with the Terrapins here at home. I just think it's a good spot to go against Purdue in Maryland's Big Ten home opener. So I'm going to go with Maryland. I really like Nebraska in revenge against the Illini. And of course, in the big marquee game, I'm going to go ahead with Louisville. It's like a pick'em game here. Maybe 1 point you're laying with the Cardinals. Does it really matter in a game of that magnitude? And I'm going to go with the Cardinals to round out your third and final Saturday free selection. Good luck, everybody. I'll talk to you again on Sunday morning when we do this one more time.